Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you conniving money, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. You can keep your conniving money when you've been a corrupt bum. In a bills there be money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bills there be money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This is all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. Now I don't want you conniving money. Oh, Joseph.
Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. How are you doing now? It's but 24 hours since I last saw you guys. How y'all doing? Yesterday I went to Victoria. The Victorians want roads and they want lighting on the roads. And I was able to show you development not in focus, or non-development in focus rather. A lot of folks are angry at me. I see former chairman of the Buxton NDC Purai cussing out Buxtonians and cussing out the PPP government because of promises made to rectify the situation. Don't fret yourself. I shall address Purai in tomorrow's program. It's Wednesday, and Dr. Hinds is supposed to be on the show with us this morning. I haven't seen him as yet. I wonder what's happening. Let me call his number. But I trust you all had a good, productive day yesterday. I trust you had a restful night last night. I know for a fact you're much more informed, and so I hope you're more determined to fight this status quo of segregation and oppression. I sincerely hope you are. I want you to continue to put your shoulders to the wheel, because we have got work to do. Lots of work. Let me remind you that the annual UC Guyana Symposium is going to be held on Sunday. Yes, Sunday what? The 14th of August at Tipuri Hall. And you're all invited. We are going to bring it to you by live stream. We're going to be streaming live. And I'm contemplating the possibility of establishing a Zoom so that those of you who are overseas and would like to participate in the question and answer period and so on, the discussions, will have that opportunity. Right, so it's the 1st of August movement in collaboration with 2 Multipurpose Club and Society for African Guyanese Empowerment, Buxton. You're invited to the UC Guyana Emancipation Symposium, annual UC Guyana Emancipation Symposium on Sunday, 14th August. The topic for this year is African Guyanese in the struggle for racial equity. Speakers are Dwayne Benjamin, that's a University of Guyana lecturer in the history department. Dr. David Hinds as a WPA executive member. Darren Wade, attorney at law Darren Wade. Shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs, Amanza Walton Desir, Member of Parliament. Political scientist, Dr. Henry Jeffrey, and former Minister of Finance, Vincent Jordan. It's a big team. One would say it's a celebrity team coming down there. Right? So remember to tune in on Kams TV. The time is 5 p.m. at Tipuri Hall, Buxton. Those of you who are going to be there physically are asked to be seated by 4:30. And yes, you're going to get it live on Kams TV. And certainly, like I said, I will alert you as to whether or not I'm going to be able to do that Zoom so that some of you can join by Zoom. Lots of things to talk this morning, except I don't know where the doctor is. I'm calling his number, but it's almost 7:30. Wow, I didn't even realize that.
Hello?
Dr. Hinds, you're not in this Zoom?
I'm coming in.
Okay. I didn't realize it was that late. But like I said, there's some discussions that you don't just cut abruptly. You just have to allow them to flow. And Jordan, Mr. Jordan, as usual, was good yesterday with the information that he presented to us. I stopped at the point where you was going to discuss what the coalition government did in terms of public servants, salaries, wages and salaries, and emoluments and other things to bring people from a point of starvation wages upward. So like I encouraged yesterday, you can go to the Facebook page and you can watch what I like to call the dead life. What's the dead life? And so you will be able to continue to follow that discussion. I was accused of being, as usual, introducing race into everything. I think I saw that coming from Shiv that yesterday when I was doing the broadcast from Victoria about the roads. You know, as the boys on the street would say, I rate myself. Right? I rate myself. Because when I go there, I just don't spew racist bile like some people want to believe or want to make it out to be. I provide the evidence. Yesterday I was able to show you where two properties, if I call them that, existed in an area in Cove and John. And the road was being done. From all looks of things, it looks like it's going to be a good quality road. At least the surface, the depth and so on, might result in a good quality road, dependent on the end product. For two families. And in Victoria, the Victoria West Side line, you have scores of families living down that West Side line. And the road is in the most deplorable condition. And all of their pleadings, nobody is giving them the time of day. Not to mention all the other cross streets in Victoria being bad. And all the other cross streets in Cove and John being well done. And you leave Cove and John and you go to Newtonsville, and you see them stockpiling materials to do the streets in Newtonsville. And this is not a picture that is only painted there. You've seen me go to compare Enterprise to Melanie and so on. I saw you there. I show you. You were showing the access road from the public road into Bachelor's Adventure straight down the same road that was formerly used to access Enterprise. You've seen the state of that road. But the western road to Enterprise is well done. And so this is not injecting race into everything. This is highlighting the fact that there is discrimination in community development. I will talk with Dr. Hinds about that and some other things. Dr. Hinds, morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
Sorry, go ahead.
And your viewers and listeners.
They say hindsight is 20/20 vision, and as I was contemplating all the things I wanted to talk with you about this morning, I remember we had that rally at Barnum Court, what, two Tuesdays ago, about a week ago. And some of the things you said there resulted in a columnist from the PPP newspapers and friends of the PPP saying that based on your presentation you were expecting to, or you wanted Georgetown to be burnt down. I'm sure you read those words, you know of those comments. Let's start with your reaction to them.
Well, listen, politics and struggle are serious things. You don't play around with it. And a criticism on our side is that sometimes we play around because we reduce our politics to a one-dimension operation. So, for example, we say boots on the ground. and we reduce everything to that. And what we miss when we go into one-dimensional politics is we miss about 9 or 10 other dimensions that make boots on the ground an effective thing. So boots on the ground is not inspired by boots on the ground. Boots on the ground is inspired by something else. And one of the dimensions of politics is that there are certain things your opponents don't want you to say, they don't want you to deal with, they don't want you to analyze, they want you to hide them. And the PPP is very good at that. They're very good of throwing some things out there and saying, this is poisonous. And if you touch it, then you are poisonous. And so they ensure that there are certain things that are not touched. And one of the things that they don't want us to touch is to rally our people and to tell them about racial oppression. Racists and racist regimes do not like you to discuss and highlight racism. Because if you do that, then you're exposing both a method by which they govern and outcomes of their governance. And they don't want to go there. That is why they're so angry at Hakeem Jeffries and American congressmen, because they raise the question of race. They're not afraid of being called racist. They deal with it in America every day. And once they understand that is what's happening in Guyana, they are going to get on their A game. And they are going to expose something the PPP doesn't want to become internationalized. If they were to get the Black Caucus to say that there is no racism in Guyana, that would be a victory for them. They will then say to us in Guyana, look, to our Black brothers and sisters out there, believe you all are talking nonsense. And so the fact that the Black Americans are saying there is racism in Guyana, and we are not going to tolerate it, and they're influencing American government to recognize the racism that is happening here, it means that the PPP is on the back foot. In Guyana, they know that opposition leaders are queasy when it comes to race. They don't like to talk about it, they avoid it, they fudge it, they cover it up, they dress it up. They don't like to talk straight. If they say that African Guyanese are oppressed, then they're forced to say, oh, and Indian Guyanese are too. They can never speak straight about it, and the PPP loves that. Because what it means is that the 4 or 5 of us who call a spade and call race race, they're able to isolate us and say we are racist. I heard you just now in your description of what's going on, explaining that it's not racism, it's normative. And so racism becomes normative. So they don't like us to talk about race. I went to the parade ground and I made up my mind before I got there. But when I got there and I walked around that crowd and I spoke to people and people spoke to me, I realized there was a certain message that audience came there for. And I gave them that message. I could have gone there and talked about past discrimination and oil blocks and all of those things. That was not what that audience went there for, day after emancipation. That is not what Black people went there for. That is not what Black people wanted to hear. They wanted to hear that what they are observing, you, the leader and the speaker, you are observing it too. What they're feeling, you are feeling it too. And they want you to, they want you to articulate that for them. Not that they don't know it, but they want their leaders to articulate it. They want you to tell them that yes, when they go in the market, they feel the pinch of the marketplace. and that all Guyanese, they know feel the pinch of the marketplace. But there's a particular way in which black people are being pinched by the marketplace, and that's what they want to hear. And they wanted to hear from us leaders, how are you going to help us fight this, fight it, and ultimately change it? So therefore, that's what inspired my presentation. Yes, it was different from the other presentations, but I think that is my part of my role. That is what African Guyanese and coalition and opposition supporters want me to articulate for them. And I could care less who think at the end of my saying that Georgetown is going to burn down. Georgetown has not burned down yet. What has happened is that politics in Guyana has begun to boil. And that is what they wanted to avoid. They were summoned to America. The Americans tell them you are damn racist without using the word racist. And they come to Guyana and we have to tell them the same thing, because it is we who made the Americans aware of that. So when you come back, you want me to tell you, you are doing okay, but look, make a little mistake here. You make a little mistake here, correct it there. No. If the Americans get in the PPP phase, then we in Guyana have to do more in the face all the time. And that's what I spent my public appearances on emancipation, and certainly at that rally doing, to get in the face and tell them the harder you come, the harder you fall. What that means is that if you come and you continue to oppress us, we are going to be in your face, and say, that is not going to happen. If that means burning down Georgetown, they don't have an understanding of their own strategies and their own politics. But what they're afraid of, you see, they've concluded that black people can be herded back to the plantation. That black people lose all fight. That our young black people are interested in making money. They're not interested in fighting to ensure that they accumulate wealth. Money and wealth are two different things. There's disposable money. Wealth is money that is left over when you dispose of that which can feed you and house you. And then you have excess, that becomes wealth. So they feel that young black people are interested in making money and not interested in accumulating wealth that can be passed on to another generation. They feel that some black people are comfortable getting 2 hampers and go home. They have created a profile of black people based on stereotypes. And as far as they're concerned, we are not going to fight oppression. We are not going to fight discrimination. So when David Hinds goes at parade ground and speaks to the thousands there and the tens of thousands who weren't there, and tell them that he's going to stand in front of the plantation and turn them right back if they allow themselves to be ordered there. The PPP doesn't want to hear that. They're going to talk about coming down. That's a damn business. Don't bother me, because I know I got my work to do. I got God's work to do. I got the ancestors' work to do. And I got my people's work to do. That's what sent me to school for.
And so, yes, the discrimination which
stay with me, brother. Stay with me. Stay connected with me, so that we can drive this movement forward.
Yes, I'm here with you. I'm right. I'm right here with you.
I get frightened when I hear the long pause because I think you're reading them comments rather than listening to me.
I am listening to you. I have listened to you. And I was going to refer to the fact that in their responses to try to, what I would say, mitigate, try to soften the blow of us pointing out the racist and discriminatory acts. I saw a parade the other day of black members of government, and the question was asked by the fat guy whether or not they don't count for anything. They don't count for anything.
You want me to answer that?
Pardon?
You want me to answer that?
Yes. They
don't count for anything as far as people who are black like them. Because they maybe count for something for the PPP. Because they're window dressing for the PPP. So as far as the PPP is concerned, they count for nothing. They don't count for nothing as far as we black people are concerned. They do not represent our interests inside of the people. It's one thing to be a member of the PPP, but it's another thing to recognize we live in a racialized society in which group representation is a part of governance. And they do not represent African Guyanese interests. They mean nothing to us. They mean nothing to us. And we have to say that as we can say it. And we ought not to expect them to mean something for us. That was not their reason for joining the PPP or being asked to join the PPP. It's all about them as individuals. They will get individual benefits. Some of their friends and families may get individual benefits, but they are more beneficial to the PPP than they're beneficial to their own people. And so therefore, yes, they don't mean anything to us.
In keeping with that same assessment or that question that was asked whether or not they mean anything for us, the government went to Parliament in the absence of the opposition, which chose to boycott the sitting, and passed a $44.7 billion supplementary budget. And in the passing of that budget, Ejel, who is the Minister of Public Works, was asked, this money which you have accessed, or which is going to be allocated to your ministry for the development of communities, can you give a list of the communities which will be developed? His response, and I'm paraphrasing, was basically, no, if I give a list, then we're going to fracture social cohesion. What do you make of such an answer?
It's a logical answer coming from Ejel. It's a logical answer coming from Ejel. It shows that the PPP is not as foolish as we think they are. No, you don't develop communities as communities, meaning you don't develop Buxton as Buxton or Golden Grove as Golden Grove or Lusignan as Lusignan. That is nonsense. Development is a broader concept, because development is not just about going and do two roads in a community. That is not development. You ultimately must develop people. And you must develop people by ensuring that they have physical and infrastructural amenities. But you also must ensure that they must have economic opportunities. You must also ensure that they have proper education, quality education. You must also ensure that they have what? Proper health care. So development is a broader thing than building two roads and a ball field. You can repair all the roads in a community, and you can put a ball field in a community. That is not development. That is infrastructural improvement. Development is something much deeper. Development is bringing together, as I said, education, proper health care, proper infrastructure, economic opportunities, small business encouragement and facilitation of small businesses. All of that come together. You're talking about development. And you don't look at a country with 300, 400 villages and go into a single village and talk about development. Guyana is a country made up of groups. So if you're talking about national development, you have to talk about development of the groups. What policies are there to ensure that all groups are developed? What economic policies? What are the policies on education? What are the policies on healthcare? What are the policies on small businesses? When you pull all of that together at the macro level, that's when you're beginning to talk about development. So, okay, because we are not a cohesive country, you then have to talk about group development. What policies are there to deal with poverty in the African Guyanese community, in the Amerindian community, in the East Indian community? Yes, we have equal poverty, but that poverty in each group affects the group differently. It comes from a source that is different. African Guyanese poverty is a holdover from slavery. Indian people were not enslaved, and so their poverty would have arisen differently. Right now, if you go into the Indian community and you're pumping money into sugar, a failing industry, an industry that is not bringing in any profit to the country, then what you are doing is that you're using the sugar industry as a funnel for resources into the Indian community. Okay, one may argue that yes, the Indian poor needs that money, even if you are doing it under the table. Let's come to the African Guyanese community. Where is the funnel? Where is the funnel that you're going to push resource to under the table, the African Guyanese community? Are you pushing money through the public service? No. Are you pushing money through the teachers or through the armed services? No. So there is no funnel to get money to the working class Africans under the table. Because while you have located Gaisuko and sugar within the larger developmental priorities, you have not put any area of African Guyanese economic activity as a national priority. And so therefore, yes, poverty is there in both communities, but you have elevated the funnel for Indian Guyanese to national priority, even though it's a failing industry. And you have not done the same. So what is the point I am making? I am making you can go to Golden Grove or go to Buxton and share out a couple things and say you are developing Buxton. What kind of nonsense is that? What kind of chutney economics is that? Because that is what it is. This government is practicing chutney economics, where you give a little bit to black people, a little bit to Amerindian people, and you give a lot more to Indian people, whether it's the Indian working class or the Indian bourgeoisie. And so you have an Indian-based song, and you got a little African move. That's why I'm calling it chutney economics. And so for black people to get into the mix, they have to do the chutney dance. An Indian businessman an African businessman wants to do well in business, he has to do the chutney dance. If he does African dance, or if he does some soca dance or some reggae dance, he ain't getting no way. He has to do the chutney dance to get something. And so those people in the PPP are chutneying. They're not doing anything African. And so therefore, what we have is a chutney economics, in which the base of the economics is geared towards funneling resources to the Indian and Portuguese bourgeoisie. And then as far as the working class is concerned, funnel a little more to Indians or a lot more to Indian working class than you do to the working classes of African and Amerindian. So it's your chutney economics. And black people, if they want to get anything, they have to chutney dance. So when you go into the village, you're not going into the village to talk about development and to implement development. You're going there to ask black people to dance. When you go with your hampers, you're asking them to do the chutney dance. When you go with your outreaches, it's about chutney dancing. You see? And so it is not about taking the African dance and taking the reggae dance and raising that to national priority. Is that you are taking an Indian dance, you give it a little African, and you call it chutney, and that's what you're calling development. We are not talking here, we do not want to talk about development of communities because we know that is nonsense. Your development of villages. We're talking about development of people. And in Guyana, since we are a racialized society along group lines, you have to begin to talk about development of groups. Development of groups. Well, it may be, but it is assuming that there is social cohesion. You can only fracture something that's there. And he's fooling himself because I don't think he's fooling Indian PPP supporters. Certainly not fooling African supporters. There's no cohesion fracture. What he's saying is that we are reluctant to give black people anything substantive. Because if we give them, Indian people will say, why the hell you giving those hungry belly any kind of thing? That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. Because if he's saying that there's social cohesion, and if I tell you how much I'm going to give to black people, Indian people are going to make noise. And if I tell you how much I give to Indian people, black people are going to say, let me look around. Nothing for me. All right. UN, this table is not going to stand up. This table is not going to stand up. Right? So, he recognizing there's no social cohesion in Guyana, and that the PPP's model of development is Indo-centric. It's chutney. It's Indo-centric. That is what it is. The PPP has now created a new model of governance that is going to have big consequences for this country. Because I won't deal with this tonight on my program. When you hear black people say, but Granger never do nothing for we, the coalition never do nothing for we, they are looking across at their neighbor. They're looking across and they're watching how the present government is giving resources to their supporters. And that is making them no flashback. But Granger never do that. The coalition never do that. So they're now measuring helping your community by the PPP's method. And that is going to have great consequences. One, it's going to put pressure on any new government that represents Black people to behave like the PPP. The PPP has now taken us into a new mode of governance and distribution of resources. Every community, meaning every group, is now going to measure their leaders by the standards that the PPP has set. And that is why Indians who today are thinking that Black people are crazy and David Hinds and them are thinking racism. If and when the government change, it's more when the government changes. And Black people start to force their government to behave like the PPP. Indian people would be carrying on just like we are carrying on. That is the danger of what is going on now. It has become the new model. Granger and the coalition are now being judged by the standards and the model that the PPP has set. When they watch and they see that guy go across to West Barara and goes to Wales, I say, I'm going to take away land that dedicates to somebody, Black people, to plant cocoa. And I'm going to give it to you. They say, what? Granger didn't do that to me. Granger didn't go to Wales and say he going to give the land to Black people to farm. They give it to a company. Aha. So Granger didn't do nothing for me. When they watch Ali or whoever go to Region 6 and tell them we're going to build a training school to train you who don't want to do sugar no more. We're going to give you money for the sugar, even though you're not planting sugar. We will still give you money, but in the meantime, we're going to train you to get skills now to get into the oil industry. When they look and they see they say, but Granger didn't do that for me. So Granger didn't do nothing. So they are looking back in their rearview mirror as they observe what the PPP is doing. That is what that loaded statement that Granger not do anything for we means. Of course, they're not taking into consideration the Granger didn't have the money at his disposal that the PPP now has. That Granger didn't have the political temperament as the present leaders. They're not taking those intangibles into consideration. They're looking and they're saying, this is what these boys are doing, and our boys didn't do it. Yes, the PPP can use it against the present opposition and say, you didn't do nothing for your people. Your people themselves are saying that. But because they're so nearsighted in politics, they are not recognizing how going forward into the future, they are putting their own supporters at danger because a new coalition, PNC/AFC/WPA government would be under severe pressure to look out for their group at the expense of the other group. very clever or not so clever trick. What Bob Marley said, playing smart but not being clever. It's a smartness. But the way you do it is you keep saying, but Indian people are suffering too, and the government not looking after Indian people, which is absolutely not true. The first part is true. The Indian people are suffering. Indian working class is suffering. We know that. That part is true. What is not true is that the government is not doing anything about it. The government is throwing things at the Indian community. They're throwing more than they're throwing to the black community. Even if they're going Buxton and throw 20 times what they're doing now to Buxton, it still means little, because you're throwing it to Buxton because you want to quiet Buxton. Because in your head, you think that these violent dogs, the most violent and the most hungry belly and the most ignorant and stupid of them, they're in a place called Buxton. So if I go there and I can tame Buxton by giving them 10 amperes instead of 1, by doing the roads which can break up in 6 months, we can tame those ignorant, hungry belly people, because the rest of Guyana are okay, they're slaves. We can carry them back to the plantation. It's not easy to carry Buxton back to the plantation because they have a reputation. And I got this one Hinds and Kidaki there who can go in the village, they're in the village and show them light. So we got to butter them up. And we're going to go to Linden because Linden is a botheration place for the hungry belly them. And we're going to butter Linden up. And we feel that if we butter Buxton and Linden, we get black people where we want them, because the rest of them are not going to jump out the plantation. The rest of them are cool going into the plantation. It's a cynical strategy, but that is what it is. That is what it is. And so they're fearful when the Buxtonian move from Buxton and go to the national microphone and speak to black people across the country. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ. War break. World will end. Because it's upsetting their strategy. They would like you and like me to confine our activism to Buxton. And so they're going to go to Buxton. Kinaki say, you are road and go. Look, you're going to build the road. 6 months the road broke up. Who cares? We build a road. I ask a road. All right. And so on. You all want small business, money for small business? We're going to come and tell you all theoretically how to get money from small business. We ain't bringing no money as they put on the fire. This is not a forum where we'll be sharing out money. It's a cynical mode of governance on the part of the PPP that has serious implications going forward.
Very serious implications. What also has serious implications is the suspension of those 8 parliamentarians and the PPP pushing ahead with its, what I should say, legislative program. Not only did they go for $44.72 whatever billion supplementary budget, but I recognize they also passed legislation to formulate the Constitutional Reform Commission. Your reflections, your opinions on the suspension of those parliamentarians, the passage of this supplementary budget, and the Constitution, the provision for the Constitution of this reform.
Stupid politics. What one side of the head is a case where one side of the head and connecting with the other side of the head. Look, you didn't have to suspend those people. You have a majority in the majoritarian system. Whether they're there or not there, you get your way. You get your way. So you didn't have to move them out of the way to pass your $44 million. They can sit down just then, they can holler and they can cry. You won't do it. But because you want to show them, as Ali said, they don't know who I is. You want to show them that you are the chutney bad man. You want to show them that you're an Indian, but you up to what you think is black ignorance. You know, the little white boy who pushed his pants down at the bottom and said that he imitating blackness. What they call in America white nigger or wigger. Right? And so Ali want to be like his friend before him. He want to be the bad man. So because we want to show you that we are bad, we're going to suspend you. We're going to suspend you. Right? To show you that we are bad. And in suspending those guys, they've made them martyrs. They've given the opposition one more thing to beat them over their head with. When they didn't have to do it, you see, when you're into authoritarian politics, when you are into ethnic domination, you are thinking in a straight line. You see the end game down there. I'm dominating. I'm dictating. And everything goes straight to that. You keep your eye on that price. And you don't recognize that there are offshoots from keeping your eye straight on the price of domination. And the offshoot is that you are giving the opposition now some new ammunition, which they didn't have. And you didn't necessarily have to suspend those chaps and those ladies. So the objective there is not to affect what's happening in Parliament. They know that suspending those people would not affect anything in Parliament as far as the outcomes are concerned. But what it will do, it will say to the rest of the opposition supporters, if you step out the line, we will do you like we're doing your leaders, because we have the power to do it. But in so doing, you are now saying to black people, we got to get up and get more. That's what we're saying. I can be as cynical as them and say, suspend more of them. Suspend 10 more of them. Make 10 more of them martyrs. Give me some more ammunition, you foolish person.
Foolish person. Foolish politics.
But you see, Kidaki, the foolishness is not easily seen. We have to come, those of us who do this thing for a living, do this thing as a matter of calling, we have to peel away the skin and show it to our people. I don't expect the ordinary people to really understand the deep consequences. It will pass through their mind. But that's what we are here for. We are here to skin back the skin and show our people what is just below that skin. That is why they're angry at you. They're angry at me. They're angry at Betshop. If we can do it, to bring people onto the program, who can do it? And our people sometimes get impatient and say, too much attacking. And they love when black people say that. You know, oh, they're going to tongue. Tell them, let them don't talk, let them don't expose me. Let them don't expose me. Because they know we are exposing them. We are exposing them. They didn't just suspend those guys because they want to take away the parliamentary privilege. No, they want to show that they're bad men, that they can do what they like. Well, the harder you come, at least David, will make sure that the harder you fall.
The harder they come, the harder they fall. You know, in all of our highlighting of these machinations by the PPP and so on, we still have folks who come on here professing to be black and cuss us out. There's some Winslow who insists that you're racist and you want to cause division. And in my mind, these are the people who, masquerading as they are being used by the PPP to sow discord and division among black people, among African Guyanese, and try to fracture that unity in this struggle. How is it, or what is it we ought to do to ensure that the young blacks, especially which you identified as wanting money and not wealth, quote unquote, get...
No. I didn't say they want money and not wealth. The PPP thinks they want money. And they're giving them money. And I'm saying to those young people who are saying, look, this is not about any group thing. This is about my individual money. I want some money. I am saying to them, you're going to get some money, but you won't get any wealth. They're not going to give you enough to turn that money into wealth. I am saying that to the young people who are innocent, saying they want, why shouldn't you want money? Why shouldn't you? I'm trying to say to you, the money that the PPP is dangling in front of you is not wealth. They're giving you money, but they're giving the Indian young man wealth. There is how you get wealth. You get a government contract. The government gives you an advance. You don't have to go and find the money. Government gives you half of the money for the contract in advance. You get a contract to decorate the place. So, them thing where you always get, what they call them, expose. You get a contract to decorate for expose. But you get half the money up front. So you don't have to go to the bank. You don't have to borrow any money. The government gives you money to start a business. That's what you are getting if you are Indo-Guyanese. What Afro-Guyanese are getting is a couple $1,000. And I'm saying to Afro-Guyanese, you open all your eyes and see how the little money that you get is not wealth. The Indian guy who comes up with it and says, I can decorate for you, expose. But I'm going to charge you 10 million. Give me 5 million or 4 million in advance. I take that advance. I become a multi-millionaire next year. Whereas you give the black man a couple $1,000 that undone before next year. And he ain't got no wealth. He has not accumulated wealth. That's what I'm trying to find.
Thank you. Here's Kerry Perry saying, listen, every morning is the same thing. Afro-Guyanese versus Indian folks. Buxton roads and infrastructure, protesting against police land distribution, money for distribution to every citizen's wealth, etc. What's wrong with every morning being, quote-unquote, the same thing?
You know, I really can't tell you all how to run your all shows, eh? But I just become an elitist sometimes. Those damn fools, I don't pay them no mind. They're not important. They're not important. As far as I'm concerned, they don't exist. If you are coming on to serious programs to expose your ignorance, then you are letting your masters know how pliant you are. And you don't make a difference. I'm talking to you masters. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to your masters. And your masters got to worry whether I shake your hand or don't shake your hand. Your masters got to worry about what I said in the big yard. And so sometimes these little people, in many regards, I think sometimes we have to just don't give them the sense of importance that they crave. Talk to their bosses. Drive political fear in power. Not in powerlessness, in power.
It's 20 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour up, guys. Is there anything you want to touch before we open the lines?
No, I think we've talked enough.
Lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call.
And I hope that when our people come on to these calls, they get the opportunity, that they speak to the issues that we raise. Sometimes we lose precious time. We use precious time to get into our pet peeve, and I don't have a problem with that. But I'm saying, having listened to an hour of some precise targeting of where the PPP is trying to go, let us then, as callers, broaden that discourse. Because they thrive on this thing that Dr. Uga short memories. And sometimes our memories can be short, as short as 5 minutes. We just hear something, a topic being discussed, and then we call and we come on and we go on with the own story, rather than broadening something that gets the PPP crazy. And you all got to drive them more crazy. If you open a newspaper and you look at the letter section, you can tell who supporters are writing letters. Our supporters don't write letters. And so anybody coming from Mars and you open our papers, they will only get one viewpoint from those newspapers. One viewpoint. Our people don't get into the habit of getting you in a corner and squeezing you there for all it's worth. Allow people to wriggle out and get away.
Thank you for holding, caller. Good morning, you're live.
Bless, good morning, brothers, Dr. Hinds and Brother Kadati. Good morning to everyone, all the listeners. Dr. Hinds, let me ask a question. The NRA, there was a committee or a board that was set up to oversight the NRA. And according to our understanding is that the funds from the NRA were taken out and dumped into the consolidation funds. So that's where the parliamentarians vote for this supplementary budget or whatever it is the other thing that they passed the other day recently. But the point is that the monies came from the NRA. So my question here is where is this board, the members who were paid to be the watchdogs, I would say, or you may say oversight, right, for the NRA. Where are these people? Should they be held responsible because they're not doing their jobs? I'm not hearing anything about they place an oversight in this scenario. These monies were taken off of the NRA, and we're not hearing anything from the board. What is the situation with that? If you care to explain that, please. Thank you.
Very excellent question. Very excellent. And that is what I mean. Something like that I forgot. And here is this caller asking, but where is the oversight body? The oversight body is there, but it's not oversighting. And that is why the government wanted an oversight body that it can control. It can control. So these people are misusing the money from the NRS. As the caller just said, you dump in the consolidation fund, and then you draw out. So you're saying, I'm not drawing out the oil money, I'm drawing out the money from the country. Where are the people who are supposed to be oversight here? The money coming out of the natural resource fund. Excellent question, and thanks for reminding me of that. I shall certainly incorporate it the next time in my analysis.
Thank you. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the BUXTONIAN morning time. We're chatting with Dr. Hinds about the issue. Call here live. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Good morning, everyone in the diaspora. Good morning, Dr. Hinds.
Good morning, brother.
Once again, happy emancipation and liberation. Dr. Hinds, I want to ask you two things. At the rally, keeping it on the subject matter of expounding, of squeezing the conversation for everything that we can get out of it. So it's a continuous conversation. From August the 2nd at the rally, I heard you spoke about we no longer begging. And what struck me about that, it was that you were making the distinction of burying a particular phase of the struggle, and you were resurrecting a particular phase of the struggle. I call it the burial and the resurrection. You spoke about leaving the crying past in the past and moving boldly forward, asserting and demanding.
Psalm 91.
Taking it to the next level. Those were your words. Right? And I was particularly elated to hear that you were saying we are now taking proactive measures instead of reactive measures. So I'm very concerned about milking that conversation and know what it will look like. I don't expect you to talk about everything on the table on Facebook because you don't tell certain things to the general public. You don't divulge your strategies. But if we intend to cultivate taking control, how do we mobilize that on Facebook if we don't have that conversation? Me and us, we will be particularly interested in how do we say we are exiting off here. We are going somewhere else. We are not waiting for the PPP's action, as you said about 5 minutes ago. We are taking action. It's very different. The PPP can act, we can react, or we can act. Regardless of them acting, we can choose our direction and act. And I liken that to when you say, we are now making demands. We are now kicking the feet from under the table, allegorically speaking. And we are taking it to the next level. I'm interested in hearing more about that. I want to milk you on that.
Psalm 91. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder. The young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy.
Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. I don't want your conniving morning. Morning, y'all. Welcome to another program of BUXTONIAN Morning Time. It is Thursday. It is now 7 hours 27th on the 11th day of August in the year 2022. Yes, Thursday on the BUXTONIAN Morning Time. It's the day before Free Talk Fridays. Well, this morning we got some things to talk about. Some troubling things. I remember some time ago, Sherrod said, I'll pump. Well, he didn't say I'll pump in. He said, we pumping. But we ain't feeling it. We pumping, but we ain't feeling it. That is what Sherrod said some months ago. There is some really, really disturbing news that I'm getting from all parts of the country and so on. Hindsight is always 20/20 vision, they say, because you get to look back and realize where you screwed up, where you messed up, and so on, and what opportunities you missed. And there's this saying, opportunity lost can never be regained. I'm hoping that they're wrong. Because when you look back, you see that Guyana have had an opportunity to be on a real developmental trajectory. Right? Real developmental trajectory. A trajectory which perhaps would have made us, as they like to say, Little Dubai. I really don't know why we want to be Little Dubai and not Big Guyana. But we could have been on that developmental path. Better health care. Free education from nursery to university. Improved public servants' wages and salaries. Improved private sector wages and salaries and working conditions. Yeah, I am positive that had we not gone down the road of the no confidence vote and the regime change and so on, Guyanese and Guyana would have been in a better place. More responsible policing. Because when you look back, you realize that the previous administration, the coalition administration, may be slow to the draw, but they were consistently working on improving life and livelihood for the Guyanese people. Impatience on the part of Guyanese, usually it's like when you leave a dog or any animal hungry for such a long time, for an extended period of time, when you eventually present the meal, that animal is voracious. Right? That animal is voracious, gluttonous. Hospitals gobble down everything. Sometimes they get choked on it. But when you look at the suffering, the oppression, the punishment the Guyanese people went through under the PPP, for 23 years prior to 2015. And the possibility of a better day in the sun coming about with the coalition government, everybody wanted it now. Everybody wanted it now. Everybody was impatient. We had to get it and we had to get it now. It's like a junkie. I gotta get it fixed now or I become like a cold turkey. Everybody was lining up and fretting that they weren't getting it fast enough. And if I can't get it now, I ain't playing. Like a little schoolboy with the ball, you know. If I can't get for bat now, I ain't playing. I'm taking back my ball. We have seen it all under the coalition. And impatience, along with external intervention, has cost us the peace and the development which we were getting to experience slowly. Slowly, but surely. A lot of people might disagree with me. But as they say, when you look back like a Sankofa bird, and you look forward, you recognize what miss you, what we lost, as against what we now have. Let me put that into focus for you. This early morning class, how about under Burnham? I will start from under Burnham. I've already given you a long list of things that Burnham did to develop this country and to make its citizens proud. If you can't remember them, Shiraz, you are just like I think, a dunce. Empty-headed, parrot. The PPP has no class. They can't put their foot in any of Burnham's shoe when it comes to being nationalistic and having a development agenda for Guyana. That's a fact. Again, I will repeat, Burnham had his missteps. Some say he became power hungry, power drunk, dictatorial. But that doesn't mean that we have to throw the baby with the bathwater. His developmental thrust for this country was superior, I dare say, to any other president of this country. Superior to any other president of this country. Imagine a country such as ours with so many raw materials and a non-existent manufacturing sector. Imagine that. The only thing this country is really manufactures is rum. Right? Quite frankly, everything we send out as raw material. Every single thing this country exports as raw material. In the Forbes Burnham time, we had a productive sector, we had a manufacturing sector, value-added sector. Y'all remember shingles? Our Wallaby used to be used to make shingles for housing. Guyana importing shingles up to now, because there's still people who would like to have a retrofitted house, if I can call it that, or a retrofitted property. Shingles, clay bricks. Guyana is importing clay bricks. Under Forbes Burnham, Guyana was manufacturing and exporting clay bricks. So I don't, you know, sometimes we allow our hatred, racism, a lot of it built on hearsay, to really cloud our judgment. And I continue to say, Shiraz, you embarrassed me as a student who went to Richard Ishmael. Because I know the Ishmaelites, we're proud. Because we consider ourselves having a good go at education. And you embarrass me. Because you don't exhibit the ability to think critically. All you do is you come and you parrot every morning some nonsense that the PPP put in here. Where did our trains go? Is that the only thing you're going to ask? Where did our trains go? Yes, I said he made some missteps. Because of the developmental trajectory that Forbes Burnham saw Guyana on, he envisaged that we weren't going to need the trains, and he took the train lines and he sent them, I think, to Uganda or somewhere, they say. Because he think they needed it more than Guyana. Because sugar was king and bauxite was king. And we were making money. And so it is believed that Guyana would have been able to, quote unquote, modernize using fossil fuel. It didn't happen. But in this modern age, the APNU AFC under Patterson, when they designed the East Bank Highway, they made provision for trains. Do you know that, Shiraz? They made provision for trains. Whatever line they call it. And this government that y'all seem to believe y'all sit down in Canada in some basement or some streetcar in the USA and y'all planning out to defraud somebody else and keep saying that this government is best for Guyana. When we are seeing what this government is doing that is not good for Guyana. They constricted the entire project and they took out the whatever provision was made for the trains. And we talk about modern development. So Burnham made that mistake of getting rid of the trains because of where he saw Guyana going. In this era, when Guyana is getting oil resources and so on, which it should use to modernize its infrastructure, the PPP got rid of the idea of a train that can move people in quick time on the East Bank Highway from point A to point B. So don't ask me where the trains went. Here you just agree with me, Shiraz. Every developing country needs a rail system. The coalition made provision for one. What did your government do? Or your friends in government do? Huh? I'm just sick and tired of you, man. I don't know if it was a bullet train or a gun train. I know they made provision for a train. Yeah, just tripped me off. Anyhow, as I was saying, when you look back to what the coalition was setting up this country to be as against what we're getting now, you have to be concerned. You have to be concerned. When I read about, let's say at most a week ago, that in its 3 to 5 years in government, the coalition government spent approximately $2.6 trillion. And they were able to increase wages and salaries for workers They were able to give tax-free back pays. They were able to improve public infrastructure. They were able to improve health care. Under the coalition administration, remember, this country got a brand new maternal wing at the Georgetown Hospital. In other regions, they got upgrades from health center to cottage hospitals. And these two areas were gifted with water ambulances, as we call them. You remember that for the healthcare sector? I can remember those things. Under the Citizen Security Strengthening Program, several police stations were rebuilt and repaired. They were modernized with accompanying what I would call them loosely interview rooms, so that the accused and victim are not in the same place when they're being interviewed and stuff like that. Those were improvements which took place under the coalition government. Police were gifted with scores of vehicles and communication equipment. The 911 line, the emergency lines were actually made to work. Right? Those are some quick things I can remember happening under the coalition administration. The lines disappeared from the passport office because passport offices were established, or immigration offices, whatever you want to call them, in other areas, Essequibo and Linden and Borbis and so on. Y'all remember that? All accounted for within a spending of 2.6 trillion, or let me say approximately $3 trillion in the life of the coalition government. All of that. Improved health care. But when you look at the fact that the coalition government was operating at that time with scarce resources, but was able to achieve so much, you ask yourself, what would have been achievable? What would have been achievable with this petroleum money, or money that is now flowing to this country? What would have been achievable? Well, let me tell you what was not achieved. In 2 years, or approximately 2 years, the PPP spent approximately the same amount of money that the coalition spent in 3 to 5 years. Y'all hear me? The PPP spent approximately the same amount of money, approximately $3 trillion, in 2 years, compared to the coalition spending that in 3 years. And you see the vast difference in benefits to the Guyanese people. Did I also mention that in those 3 to 5 years, there was a new generating set installed and commissioned on the Essequibo coast? Under the PPP, that was a blackout haven. Under the coalition, they fixed that. Bartica got a new generating set too, if I remember clearly. All of this with approximately $3 trillion. Blackouts had almost become a thing of the past, nationwide. But in 2 years, the PPP spent approximately the same amount of money. Blackouts are more frequent. Don't talk about water supply. The quality of the water supply, potable water from Guyana, was improved leaps and bounds under the coalition. Now people are complaining again that they're getting lemonade, coffee, whatever the brown color they want to describe it as, through the pipelines. And while people have become under the coalition administration accustomed to water pressure, at least up to the first floor of their dwellings, many areas have retrogressed. And they either put in pressure pump or they fetch their water from downstairs. Yeah. And they have spent in less than 2 years, or approximately 2 years, just as much money as the coalition spent to improve all of those things. We're talking. We're talking. And so when you see this administration spending all of that money in 2 years, and you're not getting quality of service, you have to curse the day. You curse the coalition. Seriously. You ought to curse the day you curse the coalition. You know what is happening in this country currently? I read yesterday, I think, of a surgery having to be cancelled at the Georgetown Public Hospital because while the patient was prepped and about to take the surgery, there was blackout. Power outage. And there is no backup electricity. No backup electricity at the National Hospital, as I want to call it, it's Georgetown Public Hospital. Can you understand that? Can you imagine that? And people are sitting and telling you that this administration represents growth and development and improved standard of living for the citizens of this country. Right? Modern Guyana, in the year 2022, this place that they are calling Little Dubai, oil money is pumping and citizens' health are at risk because there's not backup power at the hospital. As a matter of fact, one would ask the question, why should you even need backup power when you're putting billions into the Guyana Electricity Corporation? Guyana Power and Light, as they call it. Tell me. But the reality is you have a national hospital that doesn't have backup power. And so someone is prepped for a surgery which had to be cancelled because of blackout. Imagine if it were a life-saving surgery. Imagine if it were a life-saving surgery. But y'all think that is all that is wrong with the hospital and healthcare services in this country? I got a message from a parent the other day. I got a message from a parent the other day complaining of the state of play at the pediatric ward. Yes. What's the state of play? I don't know. I might be a little dunce believe that around the world, the pediatric ward, for people like Shiraz who don't know what the pediatric ward is about, that's where babies are taken when they get ill. That's where babies are looked after. So around the world, there's provision made for mothers especially to stay in the pediatric ward with their children. Because if those children have to be breastfed and so on, because the recommendation is what? You breastfeed your child for the first 6 months or something like that. If your child has to be breastfed, even as a patient at the hospital, provision is made for the parents to stay there. But in Guyana, believe it or not, no provisions are made for those parents. I received information from a parent. Our child was there for 6 weeks or so. A 3 or 4 month old child. And for all the time that that woman stayed there with her child, no provisions were made for herself or other parents to have a comfortable place to rest while staying there with their children. In modern Guyana, where oil is pumping and people are not feeling the impact, right? In modern Guyana, where the president is buying horses, I think he got enough asses around him, but he's still going to buy horses. Yeah. Well, yes, buying horses. One would say it's money that he earned. Some would question that. But at the end of the day, healthcare is deteriorating. Citizens are oppressed, but oil money is pumping, and people are not getting the benefits. I want to show you some photos. I'm trying to get them all for you, because I want you to get them all. Right? Women, mothers, have to be standing, well, not standing, have to climb up into cots. You know cots? Cots are those little beds that you put babies in with the protective walls and so on. Yes. That's where mothers are made to sleep while they're there in the pediatric ward with their children, with their babies. They got to climb up in cot. Or they got to sit in chairs and, as we like to say, broke the neck. In modern Guyana, oil money spending, and that is what citizens have to go through. the screen, you will see what I'm talking about. I usually say when I talk about these things, the evidence is there. Those of you who like to bury your head in sand, look at it. You see a parent at the top there? Watch. That's a mother sleeping in a cot. Can you believe it? In the year 2022? And where's Frank Anthony? Incompetent Frank. And his merry men. He has 2 former health ministers as advisors. Two former health ministers as advisors. Where are they? And you know what is the sickening thing in this situation? I understand that there are beds available, stacked up in corridors and all other parts of the hospital. But the wicked and corrupt administration is refusing to make them available. For the pediatric wards and other wards in the hospital, they just got them stacked up there. Can you understand that? So in this instance, just like in the instance of the bad treatment of the public servants and so on, it is not a case of resources not being available. It is a case of the administrators, the government, the ministers and their permanent secretaries either having not a clue nor a care about poor people's health and what is decent, because it comes down to decency. Right? What Yap is telling me that at age 7, you can stay with a child up to age 17 in Canada. But in Guyana, you get a 6-month-old child or a 6-week-old child who is in the pediatric ward, and you cannot stay with them in comfort. Look at more photos. You like to ask for the evidence. You like to ask for the evidence. There's another parent. Look. Sleeping on a cot. Look at the bottom there. You see GPXC? So you don't have to ask where it is. Pay attention. Instead of fixing these things in the public hospital, they're boasting about modern hospital being built by their friends and cronies, in which they have investments. Hospitals like the Sheriff Hospital and this specialized hospital and that specialized hospital. Yes. They're boasting about them because that's where their investments are. That's where their concerns are. But hospitals which are supposed to serve the ordinary rank and file of this country, the poor people, the working class, they have no care about improving the services there. In this day and age, beds are stacked in storerooms and corridors, but no beds in the pediatric wards for parents who have to stay with their children. No backup electricity for the hospital, much less the operating theater. People prep for surgery. had to be sent away. Surgery had to be cancelled because there was a blackout. Petula Boyce is telling me that's a baby. Where's the baby? It's not a baby, Petula. It's a parent having to sleep in a cot. Here is this asshole. Y'all forgive my strong language. Why are you so petty? You expect everything to be done at once. We have the resources. Like I said, there are beds available at the hospital. But the incompetent and wicked are refusing to make them available to the pediatric ward and other wards. While everything can be done at once under this administration, y'all expected the coalition to do everything at once. Isn't that so? Y'all are some sickening, biased people. But let it have to be a relative of yours exposed to this situation. And you would have thought differently about everything having to be done at once. Here we are. That's what's happening there. Parents having to sleep on cots with their children. In 2022, when the PPP has already spent almost $3 trillion doing what only God knows because there's no accountability for it. And when the coalition in 3 to 5 years spent approximately the same amount of money and brought vast improvements to the life and livelihood of Guyanese, we cuss them. We say, y'all ain't doing enough. Y'all didn't do enough. Y'all ain't doing none for people. But the evidence is out there, like I said. Hindsight is 2020 vision. Right? Hindsight is 2020. And so we're getting an opportunity to compare two modern day governments of Guyana, let me call them that. One had access to their resources, and the other only had the opportunity to think about it. Right? Don Morgan is saying some nurse almost broke down this morning on Moses' show, talking about having to pay $50,000 for a transcript and her salary is $80,000. You know what is happening in the health sector? I don't know if Guyanese are aware, but more and more of our healthcare workers are leaving. Nurses especially. Nurses especially. They are leaving. Because places like Britain and the US and Canada, and I'm sure other countries, are inviting them to go and serve their countries. What do you think will happen? They will leave. Many of them have left already. Because they are going to get a better package, better remuneration for their services. And so this healthcare system that was on the mend is going to fall way back again. Way back again. Do you know that this wicked administration has basically dismissed the Guyana Nurses Council, or whatever it's called? The Nurses Council, Nursing Council, was responsible for certification of nurses. And since the PPP came to office, they have suspended the operations of the Nursing Council. They have been fighting that body to take over the responsibilities. They've been fighting. They want to certify nurses. They want to control nurses. And so with this nurse complaining about having to pay $50,000 for her transcript, it's their way of subjugating her, their way of saying, we are going to make it difficult for you to leave. We are not going to improve your working conditions. We have no interest in improving your working conditions. But we also will not make it easy for you to leave. In other words, we want to keep you on this plantation. We want to work you like a donkey and treat you like a junkie, because we're not going to improve your working conditions. We're not going to increase your risk allowance. We're not going to increase your uniform allowance. Because a union is a misfit. They don't represent you. And we will take advantage of that. We're not going to try to improve your quality of life. But we want your service. And we will hold you at ransom. If you want your transcript, which is important for you to be accepted anywhere else in employment, pay $50,000. Right? 5/8 of what you're earning, 5/8 of what we are paying you. Pay that for your transcript. And I better sure, even when it is paid, you're not going to get your transcript easily. It's not a straightforward issue. They hold you at ransom. You have to give back service. Because you were trained by the government of Guyana. And so you're bunged. You can't leave. That's what they do. As the client said, they hope to chase us back and keep us on the plantation. Guyanese citizens simply have to wake up, get up, stand up, and defend your dignity and your rights. While they are doing this, the Guyanese healthcare workers, they have their friends and cronies who are talking about bringing nurses from Bangladesh or someplace like that. They're talking about bringing healthcare workers from Bangladesh. Why? Why? Because just as how the indentured immigrants came to water down the struggles of the freed Africans, they hope to bring Bangladeshis in modern Guyana to water down the struggles of the educated and professional nurses and healthcare workers in this country. And should we sit back and accept it? Should citizens who are affected if by the quality health care or lack of quality of health care sit and accept it? Shiraz is making a point. I like to read his comments because he helps me to explain stuff in all of his ignorance. You know, like I said, you always look for the weakest student to use them to teach. He said they're not called nurses in Canada. They're called health aides, care aides. And their job is to feed and east, whatever that is, old white people backside. A nurse is either classified as RN or RNA. Now, let me tell you something, Shiraz. Regardless of what name you call them and what job they do, they are better respected and they are better remunerated for what they do there than what they do here. They are care workers, health care workers. And part of health care is feeding and cleaning people's asses. That's a fact. There will come a time when you will want somebody to feed you and clean your ass. Like I said, when Deadfall wanted to address his infertility, he allowed a broad-shouldered black doctor to push his finger up his ass because he had no choice. It was part of healthcare. And so cleaning somebody's ass is not derogatory, it's your job. You're paid for it. What is derogatory is when you're not adequately compensated and when you're disrespected on your job doing it. And that is what happens in this country. That is what happens in this country. And so I'm saying, while they're discriminating against healthcare workers in this country simply because, again, they don't like when you raise the race issue. Like the majority of the public servants, the majority of healthcare workers are African Guyanese. And so to improve emoluments to them is to improve the quality of life for African Guyanese. That is how they see it. And they have no intentions of doing it. Why do you think the entire public servant is languishing, public service is languishing in poverty? They have no intent, no intention of improving the lot. They're not going to give them any increase in salary, not anytime soon. They're not going to respect the debunching agreement which was made. They're not going to respect the call for increases in risk allowance and uniform allowances because they see the majority of the public service as African Guyanese and they don't deserve better. Meanwhile, they're talking about bringing Bangladeshis. While they are neglecting the public health facilities, they are hyping about private healthcare facilities being constructed by their friends and cronies. They have investments in them, and they are hoping to privatize healthcare. And so citizens not wanting to put up with the poor quality of service at the public health facilities will now turn to these so-called specialty hospitals and so on. Where they have to pay through their teeth. And who can afford to pay will pay. And who can't afford to pay, I guess, will die. That's the one guy that we're talking about. And that policy will not only affect African Guyanese, it will affect Indo-Guyanese and it will affect Amerindio and Portuguese and all other Guyanese who are working class and living on the margin of poverty. And so what do? Everybody sits back and allow this to continue to happen. Right? That's what we're dealing with in this country. $2.6 trillion, almost $3 trillion spent in 2 years. But citizens are not seeing the impact of it on their lives. Healthcare is going down the drain. Social services going down the drain. And people are saying that this is the government that best suits this country. I want us to address this particular issue this morning. I'm going to give you maximum time. The lines are now open. I don't have an interest in talking about anything else. But the quality of life for Guyanese 2 years after the PPP and almost $3 trillion after Well, not 2 years after the PPP, 2 years with the PPP. And after spending almost $3 trillion. Let's talk about that. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. Like a surprise, y'all. You're getting the call too early. Nobody is taking that first call. Y'all waiting to do piggyback on somebody's call. Let me see if there's any voice note. I usually get some early ones. See one here, yes.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. I do not know why you get that guy, Shiraz, causing you to embarrassing your nurses on the air. You should not even disclose what he says. I think you're encouraging this guy too much, and you're causing his words and insult to goes out there because he's putting it out there to those who didn't see it to hear it. You should not. You're embarrassing the nurses.
Well, I respect the opinion of the caller, the voice noter. I do not agree that identifying what our nurses have to do is an embarrassment to them. I certainly believe that they're deserving of respect for what they do. Give many of us the same task, we can't stand it for a minute. And so for that, I will continue to uplift them. Like they say, there's somebody who has to do the dirty work. A garbage collector has to be respected. Otherwise, we live in a filthy environment. It's not what we do. It is the pride and professionalism with which we do it. And the fact that we must be remunerated adequately for it. Call A Live, good morning. Call A Live, good morning. Call A Live, good morning. Call A, you're live, good morning. I don't know what's happening with these calls this morning. Is it that they're not hearing me or they're not focusing? Caller, you're live. Good morning. Caller, you're alive. Good morning. Looks like we're having an uphill task to get these calls in. Caller, good morning. You're live.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki.
Good morning to you.
This is coming from a nurse that just spent 12 hours caring for other people's father, mothers, brothers, sisters, and everything in between. There are different categories of nurses, yes. You have from nurse doctor to CNAs. And the job that we all do is just as important as one from another. So Shiraz or whatever his name is, does not even know what he is speaking of. We are there in the best of times and the worst of times. I just had to call a daughter of my patient to tell her that her father is on his way out. Shiraz. And she's in another state, and she may not even make it to see that moment and to spend that time with him. And I'm taking that home with me. And the other patient that decided that she's going to curse me the hell out, well, I know she's psychotic, but it is what it is. So, please, Shiraz, before you get on the show and start to talk what you do not know, how about educating yourself a little bit? Even if you're a doctor nurse, Shiraz, you still have to clean feces. Okay? It does not matter what category of nurses you are. Whatever is required has to be done and needs to be done. So y'all have a good day.
Thank you, caller. Jacob Scrick wants to know what I'm talking about privatizing healthcare. Well, I know what I'm talking about privatizing healthcare. Let's reflect to the coalition again. Under the coalition, patients in Berbice, dialysis patients in Berbice, they were getting free access to dialysis treatment. Free access. A few months after the PPP took over, they took it away. They took it away. And I think in the last budget, they brought a measure which says every dialysis patient is now going to get what, $300,000 allowance? Those who know the cost of dialysis in this country will know how many sessions you can get with $300,000. As against the coalition saying, if you're a dialysis patient, we have an arrangement where you go and get free treatment. Caller, you live, good morning. Caller, you live, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. First of all, let me say good morning to all you guys over there. Now, this is what we black people have to learn in Guyana. We have to start doing this. Save more, spend less, and invest more. Because if our black brothers and sisters just save $1 every paycheck, that sister of mine would have our money to pay and go to a way to benefit ourselves and children. We empower these people them every day, make they take an advantage on us and talk nonsense. Because that man or woman, he don't know what he's talking about, but he has been getting paid to spit out nonsense outside there. They, black people, must listen to David Hinds when he said, we must undermine this government, and the black people, they don't do it. Can remember what that Connie boy said? If he get the chance, he will kill out all black men. That is why he born and was teach with, kill out all black people. It is time for black people to see things in the day and take care of it. Don't wait in the night. Some big-time lawyer or late-time lawyer can carry that boy to court and get him off the street, because the devil will make him go into a black neighborhood school and shoot black children. And then he'll cry and say, oh my God, why God allowed it happen? No. God made that boy speak a mind to open our eyes. Where all them lawyers, they take Duncan to court for say that he called somebody trench crop and all this thing, and nobody can take this boy who threatened all Guyanese children, parents and grandparents, to court and get him off the street. It is time for black people to realize. Look what I saw on the news. The ambassador for England, what she taking care of business for England. England airline going to run next year in Guyana. There's nothing for black people. Nobody cares for black people in Guyana. No other country. Why we still sitting down and wait for them for help? They will not help us in Guyana. Nobody don't like. My grandma teach me, nothing come to black people easy. We have to fight for what belongs to us. Imagine the only people that fight and win what belongs to them, but we don't want to fight what belongs to us. Black people, you stop at your nonsense, man. You stop at your nonsense. Thank you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you, caller. Let me say this. I will always advocate for saving. I will always advocate also that people must have alternative sources of income to being employed in the public service. But realistically, how can a public servant really save? Call a holy line. Unless you're forcing them to be corrupt, how can they save? Imagine a nurse. Let's take this nurse is saying that she's earning $80,000 a month. The minimum house rent you pay, because the average Guyanese citizen doesn't have a home of their own. They're not property owners. They're renters. The minimum you will pay in house rent is about $40,000. And there's some kind of slum. I'm being very serious. Anybody who wants to disagree with me, let me know where I can find a home in this country for less than $40,000 a month that is anything decent. And so if half of her salary goes to house rent, she has $40,000 to cater to bills. Electricity bill, telephone bill, maybe internet bill, transportation costs to and from work, food, and personal maintenance. Where really and truly a nurse working for $80,000 in this country can save. Unless you're doing corruption or other unethical business. Call A Live, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Gaddafi. You see, they had that law years ago trying to debar nurses from leaving the country. But nurses found a way of getting out, because all the nurse got to do, and nurses got to do, get out of the country, go back and do a little upgrading class where they go, and take it from there. And with the training of the quality of nurse training that is being done in Guyana, in my day, when you go outside and you do the refresher course, you would be able to think, so if they want to hold, because even if it goes with the transcript, they still got to do an upgrading class when they get outside. So let them with the transcript, go and do your upgrading and move along from there. They don't really give people money. Now with this thing at Georgetown Hospital, people might say, well, oh, you're going to go to the private hospitals. The private hospitals, you have got to be very watchful. Who own the private hospitals? And now with this quest for human body parts, I wouldn't put myself in a private hospital. Because the first thing, the private hospital, you got a lot of foreign people working there. And they might not understand what you are saying. Even if they know what you're saying, they ain't gonna know. Because I had an incident with a simple nail bore, and I tried to explain to a doctor. Doctor didn't understand me and prescribed diabetic treatment for me. Now, if I was an ordinary person who went to that hospital, I would have been using a diabetic treatment, and my source of my infection was a nail bore, and I wouldn't not have been treated for the nail bore. Hence, I would have died. So these doctors, these medical people, who they are bringing, you don't even know if these people that they have working in these private hospitals are qualified in the job that they claim they're doing. Why I say that? We got some work doing on the road in our village. And the person who is doing this work is an Indian national. And he claims he's a top brass engineer. I sent you the pictures, the video, but I didn't see it. I know if he used it yet. The type of work that this person coming all the way from India to doing Guyana as an engineer. Make Courtney Ben look like he went to engineering school in England and do engineering work in road building here. So you don't know what type of people they're bringing in here as graduates to work. So going to the private hospital, you're still putting your life at risk. You will be putting your life at risk. And had the government maintain the public hospital, because the same medical personnel who could get it go and work in the private hospitals is now they're bringing people from outside. So going to the private hospital, your life more at risk. You might go with 2 kidneys and come out with a quart if you could live on a quart kidney. You might go with your whole liver and you might get a small fraction left back at the private hospitals. Because remember the law they are forcing it must be done past harvesting of human body parts. So we gotta watch out things. That is my comment to you.
Thank you. Voice note.
Kadaki, good morning. The black people could damn well save. Where they find the money when hits and jams and then bringing in the people and the guy and they able to buy a new outfit and hair and all them kind of thing, do the nails for turn up at the show. They could save the same money.
Thank you, caller. Voice note. This one is very low.
The minimum wages that you're paying our nurses in Guyana. Morning, Mr. Amsterdam. A very good program. I hope the people are listening and they wake up and understand what's taking place in Guyana. Because literally, if they're saying they want to bring people from Bangladesh, let's call it a spade, it's Indian people. Then you can't be paying them the minimum wages that you're paying our nurses in Guyana. You will have to up the money a great deal, probably $1,500 US per month. Plus you have to pay boarding, traveling allowance, and all these things. So they're going to be spending at least about $500,000 Guyana dollars per month on one of those nurses. And it's going to be fine because it's going to be Indian. So I hope that these people wake up very fast and start hitting the streets and demand what their fair share is. Thank you very much, sir. Have a good morning.
Thank you. You know, I that is why I always open up the lines so we can have these conversations. The voice note said I could say, where does find money from for go to these parties and so on? Yeah, there is find money to go to these parties and so on. Do you know it is easy in this country for a public servant to get a loan to go to Jam Zone or some fit than it is for them to get a loan to improve their living conditions? Do you know that? I see the banks advertise back to school loans and so on. They also advertise Jam Zone loan and other fit loan, you know. And they to a large extent dictate where you want to spend those loans. But let these very people apply to them for a loan to buy a motor vehicle or to repair a home. They have to jump through hoops. They have to jump through hoops. Everything, let me make it clear. Everything is possible. But sometimes you have to look at the level of difficulty to get it done. That's all I'm saying. A lot of these young ladies, I don't want to come across as condescending or disrespectful to anybody. But a lot of our public servants who you see live a certain quality of life, they will tell you what their exploits have to be. A lot of you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to be too explicit about that. But they will tell you what their exploits have to be. Call A Live, good morning.
Yeah, bless good morning to you, Mr. Kadaki, and the rest of Guyana.
Mr. Kodaki, I might deteriorate, might drift off a little.
Please don't.
From what you talk. Beg your pardon?
No drifting today.
Pardon me?
I said no drifting today.
No, the drifting is not in that form. It's in the exact form that you are, but I'm speaking not physically. I'm going into the spiritual realm.
Go ahead, caller. We're listening.
Yeah, so I am saying now that what is happening in Guyana is a manifestation from the spiritual realm that is manifesting itself in the physical realm. People rather darkness than light. And so that's why you find that the government that rules a country, if it support evil and darkness, it will more stand in support of what is wrong than what is right. And you find the private sectors and those kind of sectors who are embracing evil will stand in support of a government that is doing wrong, and that's the call. But where I have a big problem with my own citizens, my fellow citizens, I'm speaking about the pastors, the deacons, the elders, the church, the religious community. That is where I have an issue with, because they are the spiritual warrior and foundation of any nation in any country. And why are they staying quiet? You got to declare truth to power. There's a reason why God anoints us. That's why God put us in countries. He never put us to go along with the system and walk along and abide with this president or that president or that minister or that minister. We are there to declare truth to powers. And so all the pastors, all the churches, all the deacons, all the religious body, if they are truly from God, they will all know that faith without works is dead. So even though we have faith in God, that God can move mountains, the mountain will never move unless we allow the Holy Spirit to declare and to use us and to share the word of God with others who the Holy Spirit will use. God use whom he chooses. I am not speaking about religion. I'm speaking about a relationship with God. Whether a Bali, a Christian, a Rasta, a Hindu, or Chinese, no matter what, as long as you have a relationship to God and you deteriorate from mankind, control, and humanity, this is the life. We are all spiritual being and physical being. We're not just physical being alone. So what is happening in Guyana, every country around the world, it is manifestation from the spirit, and all these pastors and deacons and elders and all these church people, they damn well know what I am saying is the truth. They have a right to stand up and they have a right to declare against any power, regardless who's in power of a nation. The truth, the word of God. God never give nobody a spirit of fear if you're a child of God. He gave a spirit of boldness, song, mind, love. And he gave us authority over every force of darkness. And that's why many people are saying Christians just praying and praying, expecting to happen. Prayers has to go also with obedience to the word of God. You have faith without work is dead. And that's why I'm saying these religious bodies, these are the culprits that is allowing the nonsense to manifest in this country, because they are staying quiet. They are one within the government agency that call himself a bishop. He could never be a bishop, that's a bishop. Because if you were there and God planted in a party, it's for you to guide the party in the form of righteousness, in according to God, not according to the party you want to go. It's a nation we are dealing with human beings, make out of flesh and blood, that God give us spirit to live in righteousness, not in wickedness. And so that is where the problem lies in this country. And all the past, I'm saying again, I'm calling out to the church body. I am calling out to all the religious bodies, so-called people, unless you are sheep in wolf clothing, you are wolf in sheep clothing. Unless you're pretending to be trained of God when you are a child of the devil. If you're not a child of the devil, you will speak truth to powers. I'm talking to all the church. You speak it in your church, in your congregation, and you speak it on the airwave, on the radio wave, and everybody you reach in society. You declare it's not about party or politics. God bless this nation. We can only get there when who God put in place stand up. Everybody has a function. Look what Mr. Gonzalez is doing in this country. Yeah, he's telling some of the teachers, we don't know if you're going to be reinstated because you haven't taken vaccine and all kind of stupidness. They're going to drift over to Guyana. Guyanese have to stand up for rights. It's not about a race.
It's about our ways. God bless this nation, and we have to get there. The righteousness of God, the righteous people of God must stand up.
Thank you,
The
caller.
righteous people must stand up, or they're all hypocrites. I say that as a child of God. I'm anointed of God, boy, to declare the word of God without fear or favor. And I'm speaking to those who are religious people and those who are in church and congregation. Stand up and declare the word of God.
Thank you,
Don't be
caller.
hypocrites. Be anointed children of God. God bless this nation. We are going to get there if all of us go on board and put God's thing for us, the Holy Spirit for us. Have a blessed day. God bless this nation.
Thank you, caller. Yes, the lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Let me tell you something. We take a lot of things for granted. In this year, 2022, I think I mentioned it earlier in the week. Can you imagine going to the dental school to have an extraction done and winding up dead? Winding up dead because some trainee overdosed you with anesthetic? Which other part of the world would you hear of a trainee overdosing a patient? That can only happen if that trainee is unsupervised. And so in short, what we're saying is that we have a set of trainees providing health care for citizens of this country in an oil-producing Guyana because the professionals are leaving because of poor salaries and remuneration. So they're relying on the trainees to provide health care unsupervised and killing out citizens. And we are good with that. Right? We are good with that. Call here live. Good morning.
Morning, Kadaki, and morning, Guyana. For me, it's always about race. And until us African Guyanese get it in their head, it's not just about regular people and Guyanese. It's always about race, especially when you're dealing with Kuli people, and especially those in Guyana. And we need to ask ourselves, is there any company or government department that have been run efficiently? And the answer is friggin' no. Because they simply have not the capacity, or really they don't give a hoot. All they care about is money. Their money. So we've got to ask the question, do we have any sense in Guyana to allow the mediocrity to continue to go on over and over, and we expect the government to do the right thing, or the PPP, racist government, to do the right thing? They don't care about doing the right thing. And until Guyanese get some sense, especially the African Guyanese, we gonna still be sentenced. Are we better off when they were on power 23 years ago and continue in 24 and 25? Friggin' no. So don't expect to sit your behind down and expect we shall overcome someday. How about overcoming today? And that's my take.
Thank you, caller. Lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Let me remind you that the 1st of August movement, Society for African Guyanese Empowerment and 2 Multipurpose Club, invite you to the annual UC Guyana Symposium. It's going to be held this year at the Tipperary Hall on Sunday. Yes, that's Sunday the 14th. Starting time is 5 o'clock, but persons are asked to be seated by 4:30. Right? So Sunday the 14th, 4:30 at Tipperary Hall. Come on out for the annual UC Guyana Symposium. This year's topic is African Guyanese and the struggle. African Guyanese and the struggle for racial equality. The speakers include Dwayne Benjamin, a University of Guyana lecturer, Dr. David Hinds, WPA executive member, Darren Wade, attorney at law, Amanza Walton Desir, Shadow Minister on Foreign Affairs, MP, Dr. Henry Jeffrey, political scientist, and Winston Jordan, former Minister of Finance. 4:30 this Sunday at Tipperary Hall, the annual UC Guyana Symposium. Come down. We are going to be streaming live also. And like I indicated, I will see the possibility of opening up a Zoom so that those of you who want to join by Zoom can join and participate. Call A Live, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kadaki. Good morning to the viewing audience. Now, just now, they are going to tell us in this country that healthcare is no longer free in this country, and we got to pay for healthcare. That's what's going to happen. All these private hospitals, they're billing or so. You will have to go to them and pay for healthcare services, right? And black people in this country, especially the black youths, they need to wake up and see what's going on. I don't know how we could train these people. I don't know how we could educate these people. We are trying, but they're not taking it, right? Because right now, it's St. James or whoever they are advertising to bring Barris Ammon and some other artists for cricketing carnival and these things. What we want with foreign artists coming or these entertainment artists coming in this country for cricketing carnival, right? Not blacks alone that goes to these cricket. They're predominant among the Indians that goes to cricket, and they would not go on those shows. Only black people spending out their little hard-earned money that we're not even getting in this country right now to go to these shows. I don't understand. How do we educate these people? Could we educate them? Could we educate them? I don't know, man. Something is radically wrong with our people. That's my contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. I did say before that one of the things that dictatorships do to keep people in check is to give them a lot of entertainment, to keep them happy so they don't pay attention to their oppression. Nothing strange here. Call A Live, good morning. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Six 225 is the number to call. We pumping, but the citizens ain't feeling it. Let me see if there are other voice notes. Don't see any. Caller, you live. Good morning. Caller, you live. Good morning. 622-5933 is the number to call. Call and let's hear your thoughts on these things. Politics 101 tonight. Join Dr. Hinds at 6:30, usual place. Some folks said they looked at the Gildari show last night, the Freddie Kitsun Gildari show last night. Maybe you can share your thoughts on Dr. Hinds' appearance on that program. Let me tell you, I would give Dr. Hinds full marks for his bravery. Because that's all I can call it. It's like knowing that you're going to be ambushed and walking into it. Like them boys used to say, you walk into boiling bear head. I walked through boiling bear head. Right? How did you think the interview went? Those of you who looked, how was the program? Y'all listen out for the advertisement so you can get loans to go to these shows. Call A Live, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki.
Good morning.
Yeah, I just calling. I would like to
I don't know if I can invite you at Good Fortune Cooker. I want you to come and see the new Dubai that's building on out in the ocean. That the people dredging the channel and throwing the mud. So fishermen cannot get to work. I want to invite you and we take you out to the boat.
Not me, bye. I ain't going out with no boat.
I got anybody here can send them with the thing we can. I got a video I can give it to you. I'll send it to you.
Good, I would appreciate the video. Let me tell you something. I'm a trusting person, but my trust doesn't go too far.
Yeah, I got send you the video. What number can what can send you the video?
The same number.
The same number?
Yeah, this is my WhatsApp number.
Alright, the fishermen never go to our Chukuko.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting the fishing anymore.
What you can do is get all the fishermen to give their opinions and send it.
Yeah, the building in Dubai in the ocean. The dredging for all the mobile ships to come in, so fishermen cannot work anymore. The fishermen is blocked with the mud. No, we can't get them to work anymore.
Good. Thank you for that information.
Yeah, I send it to you.
Yeah, I look forward to having it.
Alright, sir.
Let me tell you something. I tell you already, I'm not afraid, but I ain't stupid. This brother might be well intentioned, but it might be others who might be happy to have a man overboard. Not I. Not I. You know, when you're into certain kinds of activism and so on, you have to always think outside of the box. I'm being very serious. There are lots of places I would like to go. I understand the coalition supporters are seeing hell in Bushlot. With all of the rights, grants and so on that are being given out, people who support the coalition in those areas, they're getting nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's what the PPP is doing. And those who know Bushlot might know that Bushlot is predominantly Indo-Guyanese. Right? Remember that burnt down the Aziz's butcher shop in Borbies? Bushlot it was. Right? Because the Aziz's are supportive of the coalition. They burned down the butcher shop, remember that? And the coalition folks got together and they rebuilt the butcher shop for them. I understand either the NDC or the government, this wicked and vindictive set of crasses, is now running the Aziz's to court. Or something to that extent. I think they have them in court. Trying to remove them. Trying to remove the butcher shop from its current location. So y'all don't think it's an easily wicked administration you're dealing with. They're tremendously wicked. And as much as humanly possible, I will go out there and I will bring these stories to you. But like I said, wisdom has to be my guide. Right? Wisdom has to be my guide. Not because you call me I'm going to come or I'm going to turn up when you ask me to. Sometimes I like the element of surprise. Good? And certainly I ain't going out on no boat. The lines are open. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Yes, when you hear the problems with which people are confronted in this country, you want to know if this is the Guyana we dreamed of. If this is the Guyana people were anxious to get by allowing regime change to put the coalition out of office. You know, some people might say, all right, the regime change happened. We benefited from regime change. Let us deliver the goods to the Guyanese people. So at least they can forgive us for that corruption, that rigging, that regime change, etc. No, not these criminals. Not these criminals. They do as they like, when they like, how they like. And the citizens are suffering. And what is the most frustrating thing? The citizens remain divided and are accepting the suffering. Call it life.
Good morning, Kadaki. Are you hearing me, Kadaki?
Yes, sir.
Yes, just about the healthcare system that we were talking about all the time. Now, I find that healthcare system in Guyana is in such a terrible state that you can't stop those nurses from trying to get better salaries and improvement in their lives if they wander beyond the grounds of Guyana. I recall there were times when a nurse who would have been trained in Guyana left and went abroad. I know for a fact in the US, you would have become an RN on the spot because of the volume of knowledge you would have acquired in Guyana, where a nurse does everything in Guyana, unlike that what happens in the US and elsewhere. So they were making you RNs on the spot because you would have been performing way above expectation. But then there came a time when those few Indians who were in the field got wind of that notion and they started to fabricate qualifications from Guyana. And because of that fabrication, when they get the job in the US, they couldn't perform. Resulting now in no matter how qualified you are as a nurse in Guyana, when you go to the US, you have to do over everything. It's unfortunate, but it is because of the wickedness and the skullduggery of the Indians that situation precipitated currently and still does in the US. Fast forward back to Guyana now. Just a couple of years ago, I know of a father and a son living on the East Coast who rode into one of those hospitals that they had on the East Coast or still have for a minor situation. The father rode the week before to get a treatment done to his foot, and by the time the Cuban doctor finished with him, he was dead. This is a strong man who rode his bicycle to the hospital, but he wasn't able to come out back because he was dead because of what he was given. Few months after, the son did the same thing. He died as well from the same treatment from the same doctor. So I don't know what is going on with the healthcare system in Guyana, trust me. And it baffles my mind. I was a recipient of similar situation in Guyana as an educator. You were qualified and they stymied the life out of you. And as a result of my flexibility in terms of academic pursuits, I was able to leave Guyana and live a comfortable life in the US. But I yearn for my Guyanese friends who aren't in that position. And now they make it impossible for the nurses to leave by asking for $50,000 for transcript. That is so mind-boggling. Something has got to be done in Guyana because I think we have done enough talking. There comes a time when we have to sacrifice. We have to make sacrifice. Lives may have to be lost for changes to take place. Black people own nothing in Guyana, nothing. All those superstructures are owned by Indians. I'm asking the question, do you think they will be comfortable when those buildings start to flutter and go down to the ground? Do you think they'll be comfortable? No, they would never be comfortable. You only have to do a start and you'll see a change. They sit down there believing that the kind of things that black people expected to do, they're not doing. We're going to pour more fuel on the fire, pressure them till they can't take no more. They either run or they stay there and burn. Well, we wouldn't run. We prefer to burn, but in the process, we'll burn everything down, along with them too. You can't just sit down and accept all this crap all the time. Life is not meant to be so draconian on you. Come on, we went through slavery for so many 100 years. Let a change come, and the talking need to stop. They need to stop talking. Just get busy and do what it's supposed to do. 2, 3 torches here and there, and you'll catch sense with all of them who believe in their Almighty. Because once they're uncomfortable, everybody else will fall in line. If black people can't get piece of the pie, nobody else should get piece of the pie. Because by the time they get through out, they would live with all the funds they siphon off, and they wouldn't have to work for the rest of their life nor their generation because they would have stolen enough. Which means the playing field would never become even. Kadaki, you have a wonderful day, and God bless you.
Thank you, caller. They say I'm scared of my own shadow. Well, hey, those who fight and run away live to fight another day. Yeah. Was it? Which one did the singer say? We only trust the bank and God. It's not a case of me only trusting the bank and God. Listen, you gotta be wise. Like I said, the brother might be well-intentioned, but you don't know who else is with him. You don't know who else is with him. That's number one. Number two, for me to travel from Buxton to where? To go see what people can video and send, and I can research on, it's not necessarily the best use of time and resources. Voice note.
A very blessed good day to you, Mr. Kadaki, and the rest of the Guyana and the Guyanese nation. Mr. David Hinds is totally right. Mr. David Hinds is a tower of strength. He's a spiritual warrior. He's right to go there and stand between them and tear them apart. He is right to stand up in righteousness because he's covered and protected by God. And Mr. Kadaki, I really admire what you have done. What you have done is to make decision of your own. Even though you've been invited, you have a mind of your own to make a decision of your own. It wouldn't be surprised if you go out and see, and then a set of boats surround you, and then that is the last you hear about you and a whole of fabrication. So you're right. When God give you the utterance or God give you the ordinance to move, then you move. If you got engaged for move, don't go. Regardless of who invites you. It's not about an invitation. It's about a choice of decision physically and spiritually. But once again, congratulations, Mr. Hinds, and you are right. We are proud, we are happy to know that we have a person who is not afraid, but who are making decisions through wisdom. Have a blessed day, Mr. Kadaki, and the rest of the Guyanese nation.
I want to leave you out with this. I read yesterday of an Essequibo businessman, they say, a young Essequibo businessman being found with an outboard engine wrapped around his waist, his head in a plastic bag, etc., etc. That's the Guyana that we have become accustomed to under the PPP. We are going back there, whether you like it or not. Right? Whether you like it or not, we're heading there. And so in our goings out and our coming in, we have to be very careful. We can't be stupid, man. We beg, but we ain't stupid. Right? We beg, we beg, but we ain't stupid. If I'm thirsty on the road and I choose to get water, coconut water especially, I don't drink from bottles, you know. I like Michelle. So I just give you all an idea of how I think. Yeah, I don't think I'm stupid. Hey, yeah. Anyways, let me leave you. Have a good day. Tune in tonight. I got work to do. I'm continuing to work for and on behalf of the Guyanese people. We can't sit back and allow the wicked and vindictive to mash us up.
Psalm 91. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder. The young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will